Hi, everyone. I'm Randy Gibson, Head of Customer Success North America with Prospective Software. Welcome to the webcast today. Today, we're discussing data decisions that matter with Richard Howells, the VP of Solution Management Supply Chain for SAP. Let's welcome Richard to the stage and get things started. Good morning, Richard.
Hi, Randy. Great to be here.
Richard, can you tell us a little bit about yourself before we get started with some interesting questions that I've got lined up for you today?
Sure. I'm Richard Howells. I've been at SAP for about 20 years. I'm based near Boston in the USA. You can probably tell from my accent. I'm actually from Wales. I've got the Welsh dragon behind me. As you said, I'm responsible for uh, solution marketing and thought leadership and awareness for SAP supply chain solutions. And I always tell people my job is to make boring things sound interesting and complex things sound simple. And I do that through multiple avenues and streams. I have two podcast shows, The Future of ERP and The Future of Supply Chain. I write articles and blogs, and I present at physical and virtual events like this. So it's great to be here.
Awesome, Richard. Thank you for being here. So then let's jump right in and get started. The first question I'm going to ask you today is, what do you feel are the top challenges that you see for supply chain executives today?
Well, supply chains have been front and center in the past few years. Before the pandemic, I used to have to explain to everyone what I did when I said I worked in supply chain. After the pandemic, everyone knows what supply chains are. Um,
Absolutely.
Historically, supply chains were designed to optimize our and reduce cost and efficiency. And as a result, they became very complex and very global. And the pandemic came and it highlighted the flaws in our stretched supply chain. And the key word from that point on was resiliency. And since then, we've seen a constant flow of change, whether it's global conflicts, wars, or diplomatic breakdowns have severely disrupted our supply chains. We've seen logistics bottlenecks, port closures, canal blockages, blocked trade routes for different reasons, and we've also seen environmental impacts like floods, wildfires, natural disasters, and most recently we've seen increasing regulations around sustainability, governmental pressures, and social pressures as companies um, and people have been demanding more sustainable supply chains. And obviously, we can't turn the news on. And today there was more news about new tariffs across the supply chain. So these global trade policies can force companies to move their manufacturing and supply selection elsewhere. So it's made it more challenging to make decisions about where to source from, where to manufacture. And supply chains, the biggest challenge I see is it's now a very complex balancing act. Cost, efficiency, resiliency, sustainability, all of these things have to be balanced to meet customer demand.
Okay. Well, but with all these factors and the issues that you've highlighted come in, what are the common themes you see that are being leveraged to address these issues and challenges?
Well, business systems are the key, and the data in those business systems and the accurate and timely data is critical. Companies are moving towards near autonomous supply chains, and I believe this is the next evolution of digitization, is supply chain orchestration, where you have all of that data to hand, and the system can help you make decisions and leverage technology to make decisions. Supply chain orchestration involves the coordination and integration of all supply chain processes, from the design of new products through the planning, manufacturing, and distribution processes, and ultimately to the end of life of products, how it's reused, recycled, repurposed, and ultimately returned to the earth. So by by synchronizing these traditionally what were siloed departments within an organization and linking to the business network of suppliers and contract manufacturers, you can improve visibility. We've talked about resiliency for the last 3 or 4 years. We talk about sustainability, but ultimately to address most business challenges and most supply chain challenges, visibility becomes the key word of having the right data, having the right tools, and having the right granularity of data to make those business decisions as and when they're required. And and once you've got accurate data, then that's where AI comes in. AI can be trained to leverage that data to extract actionable insights and to provide relevant assistance to end users. So bringing that all together around supply chain orchestration, I believe, is where most companies are looking to go if they're not there already.
So, and we're definitely going to get into the AI topic a little later, because I think AI is what everybody is talking about today. It's where everybody's head is at. But I'm an asset management guy. That's really where I came from, the asset area, asset MRO spares, those type of things. So how do you see these things manifesting themselves in the asset management space?
Well, the primary business challenges that I'm seeing in the asset management space today include sustaining profitability with rising cost, of maximizing the usage of equipment and assets. We're seeing increased regulatory and compliance demands to make sure that we're using or reducing our carbon footprint. And assets out in the field and assets on the manufacturing floor are a huge contributor to the problem of sustainability, because of the greenhouse gas emissions, but also they're a huge area of opportunity to improve. We're seeing the need for digital transformation. We're getting smarter and smarter assets and taking advantage of that information and leveraging that information to perform better maintenance activities becomes critical. And we're also seeing new business models come to play, leveraging assets, such as the as a service model and subscription models, where companies are not necessarily buying assets, but they're leasing them or they're paying for them based on usage or throughput. So all of these are driving asset management and opportunities with asset management across the business.
Yep, Richard. I say actually in mine and yours lifetime, and we both got a little bit of gray hair, but I have seen asset maintenance go from where we were strictly reactive,
Yep,
to we went to reactive and preventative. Then the big push over the last few years has been predictive maintenance, and now we're looking at risk maintenance,
yeah.
and judging it by the risk, and AI is becoming a good part of that. So it's as our information capabilities get better, then we're able to do better and better maintenance. One of the things that obviously, in being from perspective, I see is that we can only do these new things if our data is right, if our data is correct. So, and I'll probably say this more than once today, but I've been told, and I really like that if our data is not right, if our master data is not good, then we're just going to get the wrong answers quicker with all the different solutions and AI and stuff we have now. So it's important that we're moving that way, but that's just my thought of it right now as we're going. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. I mean, as you've pointed out, we're experienced, I think, is the politically correct way to describe us. And when I first walked into a manufacturing plant in the 1980s, it was definitely reactive maintenance. We waited until it ran to failure, and then we fixed it. And it usually failed at the least opportune time. It was failing when the equipment was needed in the middle of a production run. And as you said, as a technology evolved, as computerization came in, we moved to preventative maintenance, and then we moved to predictive maintenance as we get to the point where we can have sensors on equipment. I mean, that's been the key, the IoT revolution of making equipment smarter and designing equipment so that it can track the right information, so that you can sense that something is going out of calibration. You can sense that it's vibrating. It's no longer the case of somebody puts their hand on it or can just tell from the sound. That was reliant on experienced people and their judgment calls. When we bring new people into the organization, they don't have that experience. They need the data, the technology, the information to drive that preventative and predictive maintenance. And then once you've got all of that data, you can then make decisions about which equipment is critical to track at that level of granularity and which ones you can run to fail. There's still some equipment you probably can still say, I'll run to failure because it's not mission critical. So it's prioritizing then and categorizing your assets to determine which ones are tracked at a very granular level and are sensed, and then you can time your maintenance based on quiet periods in your production facilities, or your and also maintenance of the assets that you sell to customers. Having visibility into that so that you can send a technician to fix something before it breaks down is great customer service.
Yep. Yeah, I see as we move forward in technology, and it's really exciting. But I'll give an example. I was in a client's plant not long ago, and I was asking some questions to the maintenance people, and one of the questions I asked was, how are you determining your critical spares? And the response I got was, Bill. And I said, Bill. And I've seen every acronym under the sun. You have too. Everybody's got their own acronyms, and I'm trying to run through.
That sounds like an SAP acronym.
Yeah, Bill. Yeah. What does Bill mean? And finally, I couldn't. I was like, I'm sorry. What is Bill? And he goes, oh, that's Bill over yonder.
Yeah,
the old guy over yonder. Yeah. I was like, so what do we do when Bill retires? Because this tribal knowledge, even today, we're still basing a lot of our decision making on tribal knowledge, and that tribal knowledge is not going to be there forever. And so we've spent less time worrying about our data in our critical systems, and always relying on the fact that we always have that guy in the background that can give us that answer. And with AI coming today, that's not going to be a workable solution that we can continue to use. So we need to start looking at that now and making those decisions about how we're going to correct that data, how we're going to do that. So we're talking about AI, the technology that's coming. So what do you see out in the future, out next year, the year after, 5 years from now, that we're going to see in technology, and how it's going to help us in asset management and maintenance?
Well, the word or words of the year for 2025 are definitely artificial intelligence, and also tariffs, I guess. But artificial intelligence is, from a technology.
Let's talk about something we can do something about, rather than something we can't.
Yeah, that's right. But I mean, artificial intelligence has been around for years in different guises, like machine learning, for example. But we can't. I host the Future of Supply Chain podcast. I can't remember the last episode we did where we didn't mention AI. I've got to the point where it should become a drinking game, and every time somebody mentions AI, I will say a sip of coffee. You should have a sip of coffee. But we have to make sure that we're leveraging AI for the right reasons, and in the right way, and in the right use cases. Technology people love to leverage technology. They love to find ways of using it. But AI, like most technology, shouldn't be a technology looking for a problem to solve. We need to identify business challenges and then work out how we'd solve that problem. AI might be part of the use case, but AI has a potential. Its potential is limitless. I mean, we're limited by our own imagination in many ways, but all decisions need to be grounded in data. AI is only as good as the data it analyzed. As you pointed out, you only get the wrong answer faster. And if the base data is wrong, no AI capabilities in the world is going to help you. It's just going to give you the wrong information. So in the maintenance world, data comes from equipment. So we need to design smart assets that are providing the information that we need to run our critical equipment, to run our business, to run our manufacturing facilities, to improve our customer satisfaction. And it needs to be captured accurately in real time. And then AI can leverage these vast amounts of data. It can sense and predict maintenance requirements on individual assets. But also, if we're talking about a service environment, and you manufacture thousands of assets that your customers are using, it can also be used to identify patterns across families of assets, so that you can sense that 70% of the equipment that I sell to customers of this particular product breaks down because of this reason on after a certain amount of time or in a certain time period. And you can redesign those products to improve them and make them work better. And you can leverage AI to support these service technicians in the field who are providing more, who are given the right information and the right equipment and the right tools based on recommendations as they go out to service a piece of equipment, or on the plant floor as they go to service that machine. So AI really, there's so many opportunities. And the other thing that's important with AI is we have to include the people in that. Bills is still important in an AI world because people still have to fix the equipment, first of all. But also, I think AI is not replacing humans, it's augmenting them, it's making them more productive, it's utilizing them in better ways, and sometimes taking away the repetitive tasks and automating those, but then freeing up time for people to do more value-added tasks, more value-added services in the workplace.
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't think that people are scared that AI is going to replace us all, and that's not going to happen. It's going to replace some jobs, some of the mundane jobs, and we're going to be able to become even more creative and better at the things that we need to do. But at least in our lifetime, I don't believe that AI is going to replace us.
Randy, one of my favorite quotes, and somebody said it on one of our podcasts once, and I asked the question, will AI replace humans? And their answer was perfect. They said, AI won't replace humans, but humans that leverage AI will replace humans that don't.
So
we have to take advantage of AI and embrace it.
Exactly. It's going to do many, many things for us. Let's talk a little bit, because we're going to get into AI even more. I'm sure I've got a bunch of surprise AI questions I believe that we might get to. What do you feel like the role of sustainability in maintenance? I know we really were talking a lot about sustainability a year or two ago, and not so much now. But it's going to come back into focus. So let's talk about it for a minute.
Well, first of all, that's true. It's come out of focus in certain parts of the world, and depending on where you live, it's still the top. In Europe, Europe is ahead of North America, for example, at the moment around sustainability initiatives.
I'm guessing, Richard, that most people can figure out where I'm from from my accent. As you talked about yours, I think mine. I tell people all the time, I don't have an accent. People where I live all talk like this, but yes.
I think sustainability, well, it's the future for future generations. It's ensuring the future for future generations. Environmental concerns are pushing companies towards greener supply chains. As I mentioned before, supply chains are right in the middle of the sustainability challenge because we generate the emissions. We put the miles on the road. From maintenance or a logistics perspective, driving to maintain equipment. We produce emissions in manufacturing facilities and through the equipment that we sell. So there's a big push on the maintenance side to reduce waste, to improve energy efficiency, and to use sustainable materials, and ensure that when you're buying the materials, the spare parts, that those are sourced from ethical suppliers, that both from a environmental standpoint, but also from a humanitarian standpoint, that there's fair trade, fair labor, etc., etc. So minimizing the carbon footprint of maintenance of the staff going out to maintain that equipment by optimizing trip routes, for example. So businesses are looking for ways to minimize their environmental impact, but also while cutting cost. If you make the right decisions, sustainability can be good for the environment, but also good for business. If you optimize your trips as your service maintenance team are driving around the region fixing parts, then they drive less miles, which means they have less emissions. If they have all of the right information with them and data with them and tools with them when they go, they can fix first time, which means they don't have to return for a second visit to that facility. So software can really help. So strategies like energy efficient equipment, eco-friendly environmental sourcing, and having a waste reduction program are becoming critical. How to reuse parts, how to reuse equipment, how to refurbish equipment to extend that life of that product, or leverage parts of it in other pieces of equipment, can become great sustainability initiatives.
Yep, absolutely. I use this example, and people often ask me, "What when you talk about master data and bad master data, how does that affect sustainability?" I mean, I don't understand, but I always use this example of a client that we had. We were actually helping them with their MRO spares, and after we got their MRO spares, their data clean, they're governing it now, they're doing it the right way. One of the guys called me and said, "I just want to tell you a story." He said, about 6 months before you guys started, we had a plant go down, a part, and the whole line went down, and we needed to replace that part. And our supplier here in North America didn't have it. He was out. We checked with our sister plants in other states. They didn't have it either. So we ended up taking the corporate jet, flying overseas, picking up the part, and flying it back so we could get the line up. Said, now that we've got our data right in our MRO spares, we've got it clean, we've got it all structured the exact same way in all the plants, all the descriptions are written the same. Guess what? We actually did have the part in a plant 3 states over, but because the descriptions were written so differently, we couldn't identify it. That's how master data, good data can help with your sustainability programs, because we spend a lot of time and money, not only profit, but a lot of time and money and a lot of carbon footprint to go get that part and bring it back. So, and I can tell you those type of stories happen all the time. So sometimes we think a little bit out of the box about sustainability, but I think those kind of things affect it.
And getting accurate master data is not a sexy job. It's correcting the data is not the sexiest of jobs, but it is one of the most important jobs. Because we've said this already, if you don't have the right data, how can you make the right decisions? Yeah, I'd love to go in the private jet somewhere and fly there, but it's terrible from a cost perspective. It's terrible from an environmental perspective, and it's literally a waste of time and money, because you knew you had that, or you didn't know you had that part, but you had that part. Visibility. I mentioned visibility is usually the answer. If you don't have the data, you don't have the visibility, and you won't make the right decisions, and you will lose money.
Yeah, I always say that master data, people ask me about what master data is now, and I'll say that if you look at it as a human body, it's the skeleton, it's the structure. Nothing else will work well if that's not right. And it's funny you said that. My former boss was doing a presentation a few years ago, and he stood up and said, "We're going to make master data sexy." And I about fell out of my chair. I was like, I don't know how we're going to do that, but because as you said, there's nothing interesting about dealing with getting data right, but there's nothing that's going to help you more in every facet of your business than making sure that your data is right. I saw a study one time that said that only 3% of CEOs think that the data that they have in their company is good enough to base a sound business decision on. And for some people, that would be shocking. I think for you and I, probably not as much as others. It's something we're working on, but we still have to get better at.
And it's a continuous effort, continuous improvement program. We've got to keep at it all the time, because we're only getting more and more data as well. Not just the business data from the business systems, but all of the other data that we bring into the environment to make decisions, whether it's weather patterns, whether it's traffic patterns, whether it's social media. All of that comes into the business to affect business decisions, and all of that data has to be accurate, it has to be timely, and it has to be accessible.
Yep, and it has to be formatted correctly.
Yeah.
Right now, we've got the data lakes are growing, and we're bringing in all this data from all these different solutions, and we're now able to utilize that data in ways that we never thought of before. But if the data doesn't have some type of governance that makes it uniform, that makes sure that you can understand from one solution to another that we're talking about the same piece, part, asset, or whatever, then we can't use it the way we need to. And there are so many things that we're going to be able to do. But I'm going to switch a little bit. I'm going to get off topic a little bit. Got some questions now that's a little bit out of my realm, but I think you can help answer us. So as more solutions move to the cloud, like our own MDO, what is the role of cybersecurity in maintenance?
Okay, so well, maintenance operations are vulnerable to cyber attacks, especially when we're talking about maintenance for equipment that you're selling to other people, or products that you're selling to other people that you still maintain, because that data is in the cloud. That data, I mean, everyone is concerned about cybersecurity when it comes to the cloud. My feedback to that is my banking information has been in the cloud for quite a while now, and it's probably the most valuable information that I have. And because there are so many measures being put in place. Having the right business partner that takes cybersecurity cybersecurity seriously is critical, because it's built into the business systems that you're purchasing. The companies who are manufacturing products, their forte is not cybersecurity. Their forte is manufacturing that product. So having the trust that the data that you're putting into the system is secure and supported is critical. But as more equipment becomes connected to the cloud, cybersecurity is a major concern. And as I said, you also have challenges of working with third-party maintenance teams and suppliers, and the security of their systems and their data. Because when you get into a network like that, the weakest chain in the link becomes the problem. So ensuring that you're working with companies that also have good cybersecurity is key. So to prevent cybersecurity issues or hacking, companies are integrating cybersecurity measures into their maintenance processes. So they're protecting sensitive data, they're securing connected devices, and also they're training staff on cyber threats that will be critical to keep operations safe. I mean, I don't know about your company, but every few weeks I get a weird message, so I think it's a weird message coming from different sources, and it's somebody at SAP testing testing the employees, in effect, to make sure that they're aware of cybersecurity issues, of hacking opportunities, and being aware of that. We have training that trains us around what to look out for from a cybersecurity perspective. And I think that becomes critical, is training the staff to be aware of things that they could be doing, that they could be doing it completely innocently. They could be replying to an email, and that could be getting into the system and hacking equipment and devices and bringing the system down.
Yep, absolutely. I always say that there used to be great concern, and it's there's still a concern there. It's getting better, but our client makes widgets. Go make the best widgets you can. I don't make widgets, so that's your focus, and we understand that. When we're going to the cloud, these companies and using the cybersecurity companies that we do, this is all they do. So you're absolutely right. Your data is more secure on the cloud, probably, definitely, not probably, definitely, than it is when you alone are taking care of your data security. So it's just mine.
And I think that's also true for cybersecurity and sustainability. As new regulations come out, and they're coming out all of the time, especially in Europe at the moment, you want to carry on making your widgets and focusing on that. You want to trust that the business system that you're using has that cybersecurity built in. It has those sustainability measures built in, so that you can comply with regulations. You can ensure that your products are safe. You can ensure that your data is safe and your business systems are safe, because that's what companies like SAP do. They build that into the system. They build cybersecurity into the system. They build sustainability into the system, so that the widget manufacturer can continue to make their widgets.
Right, absolutely. So, Richard, this one's mine, and I'm just it's one that I'm going to ask you about because I'm really interested in it, and so this is sort of my freebie. And in each one of these, I always have a freebie question that maybe I'm the only one that's interested, but I doubt it. But I'm really interested in this new technology. what do you see in companies leveraging augmented reality today? What's the new hot thing with augmented reality?
Well, I love playing games on augmented reality, first of all, and I think it's becoming more and more common and more affordable.
My secret's out why I asked the question, so go ahead.
And I think the maintenance area is a huge area of opportunity, and there are use cases of companies leveraging augmented reality in the maintenance environment. So technicians can use AR to visualize equipment, to receive step-by-step guidance, so they can be walked through how to repair a piece of equipment and be having it visualized as they're doing it. And that can also be used for training purposes as well. They can run through a training exercise with augmented reality and fix things 50 times before they actually go out to a facility and do it. But even when they're maintaining the actual piece of equipment, they can still have those instructions as and visualization tools overlaid as they're doing it through AR glasses. And so this is especially useful for less experienced workers. Once Bill retires, you're going to have other people that need to do the same job as Bill, but they don't have the experience. Augmented reality can start helping them walk through those tasks, complete those tasks if accurately, and if they've done the training through AI, safely as well. So by overlaying digital information on real world equipment, you can reduce errors, you can speed up repairs, and it can lead to less downtime and better overall maintenance from my perspective. I mean, we're still in the early stages here, but I only see opportunity of leveraging AR in the workspace, in the manufacturing environment, and in the maintenance environment. What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm really excited. I am one of the YouTube guys that anytime I need to do something I don't know, I YouTube it. And to
Yep.
me, this is like YouTube on steroids, the kind of
Yes.
things that they're going to be able to do with augmented reality, where you can actually go in and see it and know exactly if you have a question about it. It's all right there. The instructions right there. You can see somebody else doing it in augmented reality. I mean, you can have somebody there helping you.
Yes.
So it's just, the technology is just amazing. So
Totally agree.
I'm surprised. I mean, look, you and I are the generation that still had the phone attached to the wall. So these things are amazing that we're doing today. But so I'm gonna switch things around a little bit on you.
Okay.
I know in your podcasts you always ask your guests, "What's the future of supply chain?" So I'm going to switch it up, turn the tables, and say, "What's the future of asset management, Richard?"
Okay. So the other challenge I usually give the guests is I say, in a sentence or two, can you give the future of, and that's
I don't do that. Yeah, I don't do that because I can't do anything in a sentence or two.
So what's the future of asset management? I think it's the future of asset management and maintenance management is, first of all, data driven. I think it's highly automated or aided and shaped by advanced technologies like AI, IoT, and also driven by sustainability initiatives. I think predictive technologies, smart platforms, and immersive tools are transforming the field, and they're making maintenance more proactive, efficient, and integrated with business strategies. So I think that asset management needs to embrace the future, embrace technology, and leverage it to augment the human, not replace the human. Is that good enough?
Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
I kept
That's
it short.
absolutely great. Awesome. So I'm going to ask some more AI questions now, and you just give me your opinion. I've got some opinions, and I'll
Okay.
expound as well. But what do you think of the risk of using bad master data in AI? What are the risks you see?
It makes things worse, not better. You will make the wrong decisions, you will give the wrong advice, you'll give the wrong guidance, and as a result, I think that bad data results in bad business decisions, which is bad for the bottom line.
Yep, absolutely. I think something that we don't talk about much, and I've used this in other things as well when we're talking about master data and doing S4 implementations or anything like that. But one of the things that I see is it's a loss of trust from the users and the
Oh yeah,
stakeholders.
that's
And
right.
my grandmother used to tell me back in the day, she would say to me, son, you only get one chance to make a good first impression. So think about that. And I know that's not her saying, but it was the one that she was the one that told me. So I often talk about that when we're doing an S4 implementation or any implementation that says you need to get that data right. Because if you don't get the data right, then your stakeholders, your users, when they see this new rollout, they are not going to say, oh man, this is really great. I just wish our master data wasn't so bad.
Yeah, they're going to
What
say,
they're
"I'm
going
going
to
to go
say,
ask Bill. I don't trust the
they're going
system.
to
I'm
say, I'm
going
going
to
to go
ask
ask
Bill."
Bill. That's right. They're going to say, this isn't any better than the last thing we had, all based on your master data. So I think those are, that's a one that we don't really think about. I mean, there's compliance issues. We obviously are going to have reduced accuracy in our predictions. Bias and discrimination in decision making is going to be very strong if we don't get our data right. I mean, it's like I use the example, if Richard knows that Madrid is the capital of Spain, and all his data, that's what he's put. And Randy puts that it's Barcelona. Then when we ask AI, what's AI going to tell us? Because AI is always sure of itself. It looks at its data and it makes a decision. It's going to tell us that it's probably Madrid, but it could be Barcelona.
Yeah, I
So,
got
so go
I got
ahead.
another example that's nothing to do with maintenance management and nothing to do with
Okay.
technology really. But at the start of the year, I was on Facebook because I've got experience. I still use Facebook. People were posting their Spotify and Apple Music favorite most played music records of the year, albums of the year. So I thought I'll have a look at that. I'll put that in Facebook, and I went into Apple Music, and it highlighted that I listened to Michael Jackson more than any uh, other artists, and I am not a fan of Michael Jackson. I I I, I really don't particularly like his music. I've no idea. I had no idea why it came up. But then I thought about it, and I thought, well, my wife loves Michael Jackson, and the reason I don't like Michael Jackson is I once took my wife to a Michael Jackson concert at Wembley Stadium. 75,000 people there, and 10 minutes before the show was meant to start, there was an announcement saying, Mr. Jackson will not be performing tonight because he had a bad throat. But they had everybody in the stadium selling all of their stuff, and then everyone went home disappointed. But then I realized why it came up with Michael Jackson. I realized that when we all have Apple Music accounts, we have separate music accounts, but when my wife gets into my car, she just listens to my account and plays Michael Jackson to her heart's content for the drive. And that's an example of the importance of accurate data. All of that data was there, but it wasn't in the right context, and it didn't have the key information of who's listening to that data or who's listening to that music at that time. So if you have the wrong data, you'll get the wrong answers. I would not have come up with Michael Jackson as my favorite artist of last year.
But now you know what your wife's favorite artist
Oh
is.
yes, well yes,
If you didn't already know, and I'm sure you already knew.
yeah, Thriller.
So we're going to be wrapping up soon, but I really one of the last things. What do you think? I mean, I know I have my own opinions, and I'm in the master data field. But what do you think is the role of data governance playing, in master data and AI and aligning those two things together? Do you have an opinion on that?
Master data governance is critical because data is the foundation of everything in a business system. It's building that foundation and building trust. You hit the point earlier about if you get the wrong answer once and definitely twice, you lose trust in the system. And trust is key in making these decisions. So having that data governance to ensure that you've got the accurate data ensures that your users will take advantage of the system and thus make better business decisions.
Yep. I tell people all the time, and everything's focused on AI now, AI, and I get that, and it's going to do great things for the industry. But our master data, when we went from reactive to preventative maintenance, we had a problem because our master data wasn't good. Then we tried to move, and when you try to move to predictive, when your master data is not good and you can't do any reporting, it's virtually impossible. What we're seeing though is our technology is getting better, and as our technology gets better, our data has to get better too. And if it's not, again, that saying, I told you I'd say it more than once, we're just going to get the wrong answer quicker, a bad answer quicker, make bad decisions quicker on that. So it's important that we make sure that we get this data right. And that's one of the things, shameless plug, that MDO does is we have both data quality and data governance to make sure that we're going to get your data right, the current data you have right, but we're also going to make sure that as you're creating new data, you're doing it by the rules and processes that you've decided in your company or what you need to do. So I would be remiss if I didn't make that shameless plug, and I'm going to do it.
So you might not be the sexy element of a business system, but you will be the unsung hero for sure.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what I say, is that if you don't get your data right, all the money you're spending on this sexy software isn't going to bring you the results that you're hoping for and that you're planning for. So it's important. Richard, we got 3 minutes. I'm going to give you a few minutes to tell me what I didn't ask, the questions I didn't ask that you wanted to answer today. So this is your time to just tell me what you think.
I think we've covered most of the topics that I was hoping to cover. I mean, I think that AI is the future, but AI used correctly is the key. Leveraging people, AI, and processes together and putting them in the right place and giving them control of what they're responsible for. I think that we can optimize and improve the utilization and efficiency of people through technology. And I think that's the way forward for our business.
Yep.
And I think that Europe will win the Ryder Cup this weekend.
Well, I think that my Cowboys are not looking great in football, but I also think that, and I've said this, and I was at the SAP Innovations Day in Montreal on Wednesday speaking, and I said that I completely lost my train of thought. Wow, that's pretty good.
That's what happens with experience.
Experience, yes.
To lose that train of thought.
Exactly. That I said that there are two types of companies out there. They're the companies that have bad master data and know it, and they're the companies that have bad master data and don't know it.
Which one is worse?
The ones that don't know it. I would have to say that if you don't know it, then that's a problem.
If you don't know you've got a problem, you don't know how to fix it.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So, folks, if you're either one of those and you want to talk or you want to see how MBO can help you, by all means, reach out, put a comment, let us know. We're more than happy to talk to you and show you how things are going. Again, shameless plug, but that's what I do. So I think we're at the end of our time, unless you have anything else, Richard. I really appreciate you spending the time this Friday morning. I know I canceled. I had to remove this one time to another place. So I appreciate the fact that you've been very kind about moving and restructuring for us. So thank you. And
I'll do one shameless plug as well. Please join us at SAP Connect, October 6th through 8th in Las Vegas, if you want to learn more as well from SAP.
Yep, absolutely. I'm going to be at Innovations Day in Toronto, going to be at an ASUG event in Houston. If you're in any of those events, by all means, stop by and say hi. All right? Richard, thanks again. Folks, have a great day.
Thanks, Randy.
Thank you.